Do you wish you could get virtual attendees to turn their cameras on? Is engagement the number one issue on your virtual meetings? Do you want your meeting to be the most engaging virtual meeting? Well, welcome to the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast. In this podcast, we'll talk to the top people around the world in virtual meetings and give you, the listener, the best ideas to host engaging virtual meetings. Make sure that you click subscribe so you can get the latest episode of the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast. Now, let's welcome your host, the author of the #1 Amazon hot new release, Engaging Virtual Meetings, John Chen. All right, welcome. This is John Chen, and you're on another episode of Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast. If you're watching us live on social media, do us a favor, hit subscribe, share, like, and comment. If you want to get all the episodes for this, you can go to engagingvirtualmeetings.online and watch or hear these podcasts on any of your 13 favorite platforms, including Apple and Spotify. You'll get a new episode every Wednesday, every week. We have so many episodes queued up that it's to the end of 2025. And more exciting and even more recent is that we just got to preview the facility for the Engaging Conference. For the first time, we are going hybrid. So we will have the ability to have and host 150 people live, 500 people on Zoom, and an infinite audience on YouTube. You can get a free ticket or a paid ticket, VIP, or one of our amazing in-person. See how the sausage is made, or vegan sausage for those of you who don't eat meat. engagingvirtualmeetings.com/CON. All right, now I'm excited. In this episode, we have an amazing person. She helps you stand out from the crowd. She has helped clients secure bylines in media outlets such as Entrepreneur, Thrive Global Inc., Business Insider, Forbes Fast Company, and a good friend, Huffington Post. And most importantly, she's here to help you with your communication. Let's please welcome the one and only Erica Holthausen.
Yay!
Hi, Erica.
Hello, John. I have to admit, I'm ever so slightly intimidated because you know how to work all of the things with these engaging. It's what you do, and it's like, oh, like I don't have those technical skills, so
It's okay. Most people don't, Erica.
which I'm kind of grateful for because I do look like a rock star in comparison to some folks.
You know, you're doing one, I think right now, I believe you looks like you're standing up, right?
I'm not. I have one of those cool kneeling chairs, so it looks like I'm standing up.
Oh,
So I can
even
also
cooler. Yeah.
rock and yeah.
So, well, I believe that such things as simple as standing up while you present, right? We're interviewing, so it's like not, I'm actually sitting down here too. But when I present, there are often times when I'll look to see, especially when I keynote, how to stand up during it. And that's actually one of the key points that will really help your communication if you are, again, keynote speaking. So that's
Yeah.
one of the tips that I have. But thank you so much. Thank you for being intimidated, I guess.
My pleasure. It's a good opportunity to learn because that's, there's always room for improvement. So it's always nice to see how other folks who are more advanced at this than I am are working with these types of things. So it's very cool.
Thank you. And what I'd love to tell people too is that I don't show this setup, right? To think that you should build like a 14 screen setup. Because I don't think I know anybody else who's done this. I don't do that, but I do this so that you'll think about what's one thing that you could make better in your setup in this year in 2024, right? So I do hope that inspires people, because you know what? It's like driving, it's like cars, Erica, where virtual meetings are, you get into that pattern and a groove that's comfortable.
Mhm.
And then you don't do anything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then-
And having those moments where you experiment with something becomes so critical as long as you're experimenting in the right locations. But then you get to get better and better and better at different things and figuring out, oh, here's a way that I can just get a little bit better. Here's something I can practice a little bit more for when I am on these types of calls.
Well, I have to share this recent part, and then I'm stalling Erica's introduction just because we're cruising right now. We just had the National Speakers Association storytelling competition, and I was honored to be able to witness not only Washington State's but Oregon State's. And what was so great was to see the behind the scenes
Mm.
of how much these professional speakers worked for 5 minutes. In fact,
Yeah.
I think you work harder for 5 minutes than you do for a 2 hour class.
Oh, 100%. A
Because
hundred percent. It's so much harder to get everything you need to get into a short time period. Give me a whole bunch of time and sure, I can talk forever and I'll get there. But
and so it was so amazing to see that as a craft and just on that communication side about how much being thoughtful can pay off.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So now let's go into that. So let's find out a little bit more about Erica. So for my good friends who don't know who Erica is, who is Erica and what does she do?
Yeah. So, I am a recovering attorney who has spent the last 20 years mostly in marketing and advertising for my full-time job, but also being a freelance writer and freelance editor, which is something I never expected to get into. So I bring that perspective to all of the work that I do. I've basically been on both sides of the pitch. I have pitched countless article ideas. I've gotten rejections for countless article ideas, but I've also been on the receiving end where I'm getting those pitches and deciding, is this something that we want to pursue or not for the publications that I work for? So that's a little bit of the background. And when I first started my business, I actually thought I was going to be in content marketing and was working with a coach and just said, oh, I'm so over marketing. Um, and he said, well, that's a problem. And we ended up talking about a project I had worked on years ago with another client of mine. Um, and this was in a previous business. And I had a friend who was an editor at EHS Today, which is a trade journal for environmental health and safety. And my client was an EHS guy. And my editor friend was like, we're looking for people to write articles. And I was like, I think I have somebody for you. And I
Mm,
loved every single thing that we did. It was such a fun experiment. It was being able to share something that I really love, which is writing. It's how I make sense of the world with somebody else and then seeing how that could really be used to help elevate his firm. So that's what I do these days is I help people figure out what's the right publication to pitch. How do
mm,
we pitch them? What are you going to
mm,
write about? What
mm.
do you do with the thing once you get published? Because just because you get an article published in a fancy magazine does not mean the hordes of humans are going to knock down your door.
Wow. Okay. So now I have a lot of questions around this. Number one, though, is where did you discover your passion or love for writing?
So I have always been a writer in certain ways. Like I was a journal. I have kept a journal since I was a kid. So that has always been my refuge and where I've gone to try to figure out both what I think, but also to process whatever is going on in the world. So
Right.
that has always been a thing. When I first had the opportunity to, it sounds strange because what I say now is if you write, you're a writer. Writers write. That's the only criteria. But when I was younger, I thought, oh no, to be a writer, you have to. And I had all of these rules about what that might mean. And then I was approached by somebody. We worked together. I was at a nonprofit organization, and one of the things we did was a designer show house. So you have all of these designers who decorate different rooms and press comes in and they cover it. And one of the magazine editors looked at me and said, oh, well, would you like to write an article for us? And I was sort of looking around wondering, are you talking to me? Um,
Are you talking to me? It sounds like a Godfather type of.
a
Are you
hundred
talking to
percent.
me?
And she was like, well, yes, like we've corresponded a lot. I would love for you to write something. And so that's how I then got into writing for magazines. And this editor took me under her wing. She taught me everything. Every time I got comfortable, she forced me to have a growing experience, which I did not like,
Oh, wait,
but
wait,
I
wait, let me
learned
pause
from.
right there. What
Yeah.
was one of your first growing experiences that you remember?
Yeah, the first one. So when I started writing for this publication, I would just get assignments. So my
Yeah.
editor would email me and be like, "Okay, here's the story that you're going to do." And I'd say, "Great." And I would do the thing. And then she said, "Well, you have to pitch something to us." And I was like, "Well, but that's not the way our relationship works. Like you give me things, I do things." And she said, "Well, I want you to learn how to pitch." So I then had to figure out how do I even do this? And I pitched an idea, and my very first article idea that I pitched was rejected. And I was like, "Oh my God, I just wanted to crawl under the table."
Yeah.
Exactly, like twist the knife. But she also explained why and what I had done wrong. And the reason that it was rejected was because they had covered basically that same architect and that same house. It was a home and garden magazine,
Oh.
like I don't know, maybe 8 months ago.
You
And I
didn't know
didn't
that. You
I
probably
didn't
didn't
know
know
that.
that.
No,
Right.
I didn't know that. And I didn't
Yeah.
realize that that was one of the things that you have to do, like look at the past publications. And this was back in the day when it really was everything was print.
Yeah. Go to the
So
library or whatever.
yeah, so it was sort of this, oh, that's what I have to do. And so then I started pitching more ideas. Those got accepted. And then the next growing experience was great. Now you have to pitch somebody else. And I was like, well, but I don't want to write for any other publications. Like, this is fine by me. I had a full-time job. This was a thing that I did because I enjoyed it. And she said, well, you don't get to write for me again until you've written for somebody else. So, absolutely, she just kept kicking me out of the nest
Why do you think she did that?
because she was an amazing human. I'm so grateful that she did, because she also got me my first editing job. And for
Wait,
whatever
did you
reason,
share her name? Can we give her a shout out? Is that okay?
she is unfortunately no longer with us.
Yeah.
So, but her name was Gail,
Yeah.
and she was an absolutely amazing human being,
Oh.
and taught me pretty much taught me everything that I know about writing and editing articles.
See, Gail, now Gail, if Gail can listen to podcasts from wherever she is, right? Just to let you know that your legacy has been established, that you left
Yeah.
something amazing behind. All
Yeah,
right.
and it's
And
sort
that
of
would
that
be you.
lineage, right? Because everything
Yeah.
she taught me, I now get to teach other people. And when I see folks
Mm.
fall in love with writing for the first time, or
Mm.
really kind of get it and be like, "Oh, I get it now. Like this is I can do this." It's so satisfying, and it all goes back to Gail.
Wow. That's a great story. That's a great piece. What it reminds me of is, yeah, I mean, you said you're intimidated by this thing, the setup. What it is really the result of is thousands of failures,
Yes.
thousands. Like I have a whole here. What I'd love to show is this. Behind this door over here is the room full of Amazon equipment that doesn't work. And so that brings value too. I actually publish an equipment list that I have of like all the equipment that I have tested and I would validate and I'm using it every single day that I can feel good about recommending to you.
Yeah.
And so that's really like one of the values of like, sharing that and passing it on. And it's no secret. I mean, the
Yeah.
stuff is publicly available and it doesn't really matter until you master that skill or that craft. It doesn't add any value to your life until you do it yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
100%.
That was a great, great story. Okay, so let's talk about TED Talks for a second here too, right? We talked about how hard it is for 5 minutes. Now, TED Talk is usually 18. Was yours 18 minutes, right?
Mine was 12.
Chop
Yeah.
6 minutes off.
Yeah.
It's like a 2/3. And share your process about refining that talk until it got on stage.
Oh gosh, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what I'd gotten myself into. Was I just it was sort of something that I was like, "Oh, this would be an interesting thing to give a try to." I was just thinking about I had just joined NSA. Before that, I didn't know what NSA was. I was like, why are y'all speaking to the National Security Administration? I had no idea. And had
You're like,
also just
is somebody listening to me? Is this mic bugged? What chapter are you part of too, Erica?
the Connecticut chapter.
Oh, yay. Hopefully you're coming to Thrive or Influence. I'll see you there.
So, hopefully we'll see if we can make it happen. But it's one of those. So I really didn't know what I had gotten myself into, and I think I applied to 5 different TEDx's. Um, one was a rejection. One, they weren't going to do it until the following year, so they were canceling that one. 2 were complete crickets. I never heard anything. And the
Yeah, that's good.
third I kind of expected was going to be a cricket. And then in mid to late, I think it was late February, I found out, yes, you're doing it. And the thing was April 2nd. So I basically had March to figure out what the
30
heck I'm
days.
doing. The really nice piece of it was for my TEDx, I also got 2 speaking coaches, and they were phenomenal to work with because they did know the thing and what to expect. And we also had a trial the week before, so we got to run it the week before, which I'm very grateful for because those shag carpets,
The red circle.
the red circle is like a shag carpet that's been in storage for a year. So it is lumpy as all get out. If you go in heels, you're going to kill yourself. So wardrobe change between the trial and
Flat,
actually doing it flats. Yep.
flat, flat. Ladies, listen up. Flat.
So, yeah. Yeah. So it was a really fascinating experience because I had those 2 speaking coaches and they kind of helped me figure out how do you do this? And then I got to really start to see the difference between writing a thing and preparing a talk and how different those are. And this wasn't just part of why I did this is because I wanted to see if this kind of speaking was something I was interested in. I'm very, very comfortable in a workshop facilitator role, doing that kind of thing, like all day, every day, put as many people in front of me as you want. But sharing personal stories was something that I was like, I don't know about this. So
No, here, I'll do it for you.
yeah. So it became this fascinating thing to see how do you do that and where do you allow yourself to be vulnerable, which was also something I think why facilitation is so comfortable is you don't really have to be very vulnerable with that. But when you're telling a story that is about you, eh, like that's a great way to connect with the audience. So the whole thing, it was a fascinating, fascinating, fascinating experience. And it is not a great TED talk, and you will see that the numbers aren't great, but as far as I'm concerned, it's extraordinarily successful because my goals were to do it and see if I had fun, to enjoy myself while I was doing it, basically, and to learn something, to know, is this something that I would like to pursue more or not? And I was able to answer all of those questions. So it was like, okay, great, wildly successful.
What's the answer?
I had an absolute blast. I was
Okay.
terrified on the stage because the other thing with the stage is if you have never, they had full lighting, so you
Oh,
can't
yeah. You can't see anything. Oh, I know that. You're
anything,
blinded.
which I was like, I don't know what to do with this. So that part was fascinating, but I felt myself at one point kind of settle into it.
Hmm.
And then when
Mhm.
the audience laughed with me, I was like, oh, I am
Like,
now 100% hooked. Like, yes, more of this, please, better than drugs.
that's
Yeah.
great. The talk was called The Power of Not Knowing, which I feel is like recursively metaphorical. And why did you choose that topic?
So mostly because I think it is so easy for all of us to get into a state of like, I know this. And if you don't know something, that you're wrong. And we can get really, really, really black and white. And some of this is just politics in this country has gotten very, very black and white. like everything tends to just be like, say, like, you're either this or you're that. And there's not a lot of room for people to say, that's a great question. I don't know. And for that to just be okay. And
Yeah.
yet I think it is the most powerful thing to say. And part of the TEDx is me talking about my grandfather, because I was an inquisitive little girl and drove most adults nuts. But my grandfather had infinite patience. Exactly.
Oh,
Why? And he would often say, "Well, I don't know, honey bunch. What do you think?" And I mean, I'm 6 or 7 years old. I didn't know anything, but it didn't matter. Asking that question allowed me to then kind of just talk randomly, and he'd ask other questions, and then we'd kind of work together and explore that idea. And that's what I do. That's what I did in my journaling then and now. So it's something that kind of was like, oh, interrogating your own ideas, figuring out what it is that you actually think and believe
yeah.
without all of the noise
Yeah.
is something that I love to do and encourage other people to do.
Well, I love the term honey bunch.
Yeah, that was his term of endearment, and I love it.
I love it too, 'cause my grandmother lived to 108, and one
Oh
of the things,
wow.
like, when she was, like, 102, she came and asked me, and she goes, "How does a microwave work?" And that's like, I actually didn't know, and so I had
Yeah.
to go pulled up an iPad or whatever it was, and, like, when with that, like, it was at that time, and eventually found, the magnet that's rotating that actually is turning molecules left and right, and she still came back to the part and says, I don't know. I don't know if I trust her like this, because she actually had a cook who would make her traditional Chinese food
Yeah.
that was there, and it was always a flame, or right. It was like a gas heat, as opposed to. I'm not sure if this microwave thing is good for you or not.
Yeah, which valid question. There are so
Yeah,
many things that it's like we
yeah,
need to ask. Like,
yeah,
just because we can doesn't mean we should. Like, is this actually
yeah.
good for us? Is it actually making things easier, or what are we giving up when we're adopting this other thing? And yeah, it's a valid question. I love that.
Where do you? Let's see. I had the question here somewhere. I have to fish around for it. It's in the publishing part, around. So you said you have to pick, right, a magazine that's kind of the right part. I'm just kind of curious. So as you go through that process of choosing something for that. Oh no, I know. Here, I have my question. It's right here. What do you do after a publisher's article? Or an article is published? Because I have had that. Been blessed in my life. Well, it was actually too one of the goals that I imagined in my mind when I started my company was, what did I want to have happen? Is like, see yourself on a magazine cover or have an article written about it. All right, and then after you achieve the goal, you're like, oh, it's kind of not a big deal. So, but now it's kind of a business tool. What can I do with it? So, what are some of the things that you suggest to people after an article is published? And I would love to hear what have been some cool results that people have had after one of your articles has been published.
Yeah, great question. So, one of the things that I say again and again and again and again, and friends of mine are going to make me start putting a dollar in the jar every time I say it, is you are not writing to get published. You are getting published to achieve a business goal. So,
Look at the green part, it has a hole in it too. That's my favorite.
perfect. So,
Wait. Now say it again. I want to say it again and then reiterate the point.
yeah, you are not writing to get published. You are getting published to achieve a specific business goal.
Yeah. My business owners will love this. Yeah, keep
So
going.
you have to know what that goal is. Why do you want to do it? What is the point of writing an article for a high visibility publication? What are you trying to accomplish there? So what you do with it once you are published will vary based on what was the point of publishing it in the first place. So that can be anything from, for some folks, it's I want to get more speaking engagements. I want to be more actively involved with this particular association. For a lot of folks, it's I want to be able to get a foot in the door with particular clients, with possible projects, because one of my consultants, the person who actually got me into this line of work, His firm was very, very specialized, and they were often brought in after all of the plans were made. And then we're like, hey, you have to change your plans because these regulations are coming down the pike. And nobody knew about that but us, but you should have talked to us in advance. So a big part of it for him was to educate both his clients that they understand the regulations better than anybody, so should have a seat at the table when you're doing the plan, and educate other consulting firms, the larger consulting firms that were usually making those plans. Hey, I can make you look really good to your clients because this is our area of expertise that you don't have in-house. So bring us on as partners and we'll be able to do this. So every article that he wrote was for a very specific person. And so each article that he wrote, it got published in whatever, in the trade journal and an association. Those were the two publications he was writing for. And then he would send them a copy and say, hey, John, remember that conversation we had a couple of weeks ago? I just wrote about it for EHS today. Take a look. And I'd love to have a conversation. So it could open a lot of doors. More recently, one of my clients wrote an article for Harvard Business Review. And one of the things she just told me is it has just opened visibility doors for her in ways that she did not expect. Now, she did a ton of work to make sure that she was sharing this, promoting it, making sure people knew about it. But she has been invited on podcasts. She has been invited to speak at different places. She has gotten a lot of those things that have come to her as opposed to her constantly pitching out. And now when she starts talking to prospective clients, she also shares a copy, shares a link to the article on Harvard Business Review. And that gives her some instant added credibility because, it's Harvard Business Review.
Because it's Harvard Business Review. The branding of publication is something, it's like old as time, right? As old as Gutenberg. Like as soon as you had a press, you had some form of power. And it's really cool to see that authorship still has a lot of power too to this date. And actually the really interesting fact is that one of my friends, Brian Heathman, who helps people publish, says that while we thought electronic books were going to take over, they stopped at 20%.
Mm-hmm.
That the paper book still holds the majority of writing power in the world. What's your view on books in general and like writing a book?
So here's where I can get a little curmudgeonly because the book industry is tricky. And this is true of the magazine world as well. There are a lot of shenanigans that go on out there. And
I'm going to give a shout out to my friend, Dr. Tracy Harrell, who shenanigan, it feels like, is one of her favorite words to use. All right.
Oh, she's already my people. So there's so books, are they a good idea? Yes, if they are serving a business purpose, or if you're not writing it for business and it's just something that you have welling up inside and you have to get it out for yourself.
Art.
Rock on, like absolutely 100%. The problem that I have with the book industry is that they are often going after folks before folks actually have a perspective to share. They say, oh, everybody needs a book. So you're brand new as a consultant or, just came out of a coaching program and you're being told you have to have a book. And I know people who have written a book and are like, oh, please don't read it. I just needed to get it out there. Don't do that. That is torturing yourself.
Well, it's torturing the world too. And it's actually damaging your brand.
100%. Because there are a lot of, yeah. And some book folks will say, well, it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to read it. Are you kidding me? Like if nobody's going to read it, then there's no point in writing it. So, that being said, what I often recommend for folks is these days, a book that's either self-published or goes out with a hybrid publisher, typically between 35 and 65,000 words. Your average article is 1,000 words. Start writing articles. You can figure out, oh, this is what the book is going to be. Write those articles to the book. Get those articles published. That starts to build your reputation, your name recognition. It starts to whet people's appetites for the book to come. And once you've written enough book articles, you also have a shitty first draft of your book. And I am not advocating take your articles and publish them as a book. Please don't do that. The world does not need more noise and more junk. But it does give you a great starting place to be like, okay, now I have
Yeah.
something to shape and form and put into the shape of a book that's actually adding a tremendous amount of value.
Well, the key too is you get feedback.
Yes.
That's also the other part, right? Which is like that's why I had so many virtual meetings. Like in the pandemic, I was running a class every day from 12 to 1, and I got so much feedback. Like
Yeah.
there was no joke here. I'm confused versus, oh, I am loving this, right? And when you get that feedback, you just cut out that and add this in, and then dream up what's the next thing that would be even funnier,
Yeah.
or more effective, or more valuable, or whatever it is. And I do think that that process, also that regular process of writing, even if it's just 300 to 500 words, it's like doing mini TED Talks, which is that's the rehearsal to the
Yeah.
big thing, which is like a book.
Yeah.
Right.
Writing is a practice. No matter how you cut it,
Mm.
it's a practice. And the more you do it, the better you become at it. And just if you want to write, whether it's articles or a book, then don't read about it. Sit your butt down and write something.
Sit your butt down or stand up. You'll get a stand up desk and write that.
Yeah.
That's good
Or
too.
if you want to, this is the other beautiful thing. So writing is not about the ink, it's about the think. Take yourself for a walk with your cell phone, talk into it, and have Otter AI transcribe it. Blammo, you have a shitty first draft.
Is ChatGPT now the new shitty first draft?
No, here's why.
Yes. Oh, so great. Great. Go.
Again, writing is not about the ink, it's about the think. Part of the thinking is not just about your area of expertise. You're an expert in that field. You probably have a good sense of how to do that. It's about how you are going to structure it so that you can convey it to the reader and they can follow along easily with you. What happens too often, ChatGPT can be useful if used well. The problem is a lot of folks use it as a crutch. What I don't want, the reason I say like, no, it is not your shitty first draft is because it's not any of your thinking. When I work with my clients, one of the
Mm,
workshops that I run is called the Inspired Writing Workshop. And one thing that we do is we do an outline.
mm.
We do what I call a SOAR analysis to figure out like what is the point of this article.
Okay.
And then I set the timer for 20 minutes. And in that 20 minutes, you write like hell and you get a shitty first draft done. Then we read it to each other, by the way. So if you remember those blue books from college, we were often asked like 5 essay questions in an hour, and we did it. So write the first draft as quickly as possible. The benefit there is it gets the stuff that's in your head onto the page, and
Mm.
then it's your thinking. So never outsource your thinking or your relationships to AI.
I think
Not that I have any opinions on this matter.
you should have AI versus UI. Right? UI is your thinking, your intelligence, right?
Yeah.
AI is the artificial. The which one do you really want? Do you want saccharin or do you want like real pure cane sugar in a Coke?
Yeah.
I love. I think you should copyright a shitty first draft somewhere. I think that's a piece of genius.
Oh, it's I've taken several writing workshops and that kind of thing. It's something we all talk about is the shitty first draft.
Yeah, but no, if nobody's trademarked it, you should just grab it, Erica. Why not? And then share it or do whatever you want with it. Okay, so I do want to share this viewpoint too, right? Books are a distillation, I feel, of a decade or more of somebody's life. And that's why books are still so valuable too, is because people take this thought process, take their point of view, attempt to put it out and put it out in a way that's meaningful in a digestible period of time. And one of Tim Sanders, one of my greatest friends and mentors, has this process of taking a book and after every chapter, he writes the highlight notes in the book itself, right? And with all the top quotes or other things, not just highlighting, but like a summary. And
Yeah.
then sometimes he actually, shares those summaries. Is really, really valuable. So I would love to hear this question. What's engaging to publishers, or like how do you get engagement from publishers uh, today in 2024?
So, in terms of what is going to pique the interest of an editor if you're pitching them something,
Yeah.
uh, a contrarian take is absolute catnip.
Mm.
You do have to add to the conversation, not to the noise. So you have to know what the conversation is already having and find the places where you can add to it. And one of the things I often tell folks is look for words, phrases, statements that have you say either yes and, yes but, or no because. What comes
Mm.
after it is you adding to the conversation. So it doesn't have to be, that these publications are looking for what's called original content. That doesn't mean nobody has ever thought it before, because every idea has a lineage. So it's not that kind of original. It just means that it hasn't been published elsewhere.
Yeah.
And then they want things that are going to add to the conversation. So a contrarian take is great, like absolute catnip, because when everybody and their brother is saying, oh, generative AI is the best thing since sliced bread, and you come out saying, actually, here are some problems. That's interesting to them because it's furthering the conversation and it's interesting to the reader.
Yeah.
So that's the other piece is editors don't care what you want to write about. They care what their readers want to read.
I teach a class called Seeds of Virtual Facilitation because I got challenged to present in a conference. Miriam Hadness, shout out to Miriam Hadness for never done before. So every presenter has to present something they've never done before. And the theme
Nice.
was gardening. And so I had all these metaphors, and one of them was fertilizer, which is controversy. That if you really want great facilitation, that it turns out that controversy is one of the things that people really engage with. That all of a sudden, if like people start fighting on a virtual, you'll turn around and going, "What's happening?" Right? What's going on?
Yeah.
Right? Everyone loves a good fight. Everyone loves a good train wreck. And so I thought that it was a really counterpoint for facilitation, which says, right, the meaning of the name of the word facilitation says make easier. But making easier is not always the goal. Harmony is not always the goal. Sometimes that controversy, I love that you call it catnip, right? Is that that's the drawing factor that got people engaged inside of what's going on and says, I want to read more, I want to hear more,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And then
Mm.
the thing there is because a lot of people say, well, I don't want to turn anybody off. Are you sure? You don't want to
You
turn
do, yeah. Well,
anybody
America's
off?
kind of shown that you do.
Like, well, yes, that's true. That's on the, yep, that's a whole other conversation. But it's also one of those things where it's like, there are some people you want to turn off because they're not your people.
Right.
And you
Yeah.
want to let the
You're not
people
for,
who
it's
are your
okay.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. You're
Like
not for me.
Dr.
It's okay.
Tracy with shenanigans. I already know she is my people. We have never met. I had not heard of her until like what, 10 minutes ago. I'm already like, hey, girl, like, let's hook.
Let's talk.
Um,
Yeah.
so it's you do want to turn some folks off, but you also want to give people an opportunity to self-select and say, hey, yeah, like I
Mm.
agree with you. Nobody's talking about that. That's something that I agree with. Can we explore it further? So you
Well,
also don't have to be a jerk to be controversial. So,
I
and in some cases, it's okay to do that. People have made an entire career out of being complete jerks. Um, but in other cases, you can state your opinion, and that'll help your people self-identify.
I think the key too is when you have rapport, when you develop rapport with your audience, they give you more and more creative license to offend them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So like again, I've been in the Tony Robbins world, and he gains enough. It doesn't work all the time. Some people are deeply offended, but he uses a lot of swear words, and he uses swear words on purpose
Yeah.
because he's trying to break a cultural norm around something like that. And he will gain enough rapport that even some people who are adamantly against it will at least hang out or still stay and like not leave
Yeah.
and still support what's going on. I want to give a shout out to my high school friend Ron Hayes, who used to be with me in my hometown of Stockton, California, as a skateboarder. All right, that's the past. Now let's go to the future. What does Erica see for the future of writing?
So one of the best things about ChatGPT
Hmm.
is that because we can now put out mediocre milquetoast content at scale, it is going to be even easier to stand out when you're putting out something that's actually intelligent and thoughtful and interesting.
This is the handwritten card theory,
Yes. Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And so say more. Like, is this like the retro factor? Like, here's the best part, Erica. I went to New Orleans, and one of my good friends is like a pen fanatic. And she bought me this new crafty pen, and she goes, "Oh, I gotta take you to this store." We went to the store, and I rebought new ink and a stamp. Right? You know what I'm talking about? It's
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
wax
The
stamp.
wax stamps.
Yeah, for mail that I actually physically send out. And I think there's something, the more forward we go, the more backward we want.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, yeah, what do you think is like the ultimate thing? Like 10, 20 years from now, what is that thing that's going to have value for you, Erica?
So my favorite technological advance of all time is paper.
Papyrus, yes.
So since that's been my favorite technological advance pretty much all my life, I don't see that really changing very much. Some of the things that I do see changing and shifting are, it used to be one of the reasons that writing for high visibility publications like Inc. and Entrepreneur, one of the reasons that that is even a thing
Yeah,
now for consultants and other experts is because of SEO, search engine optimization.
right.
SEO is changing big time. I don't think it's going to be nearly as relevant a few years from now as it is. I think it's already losing relevancy.
Wow.
So, which I think is fascinating. And you know, those types of things are going to keep changing. I also think, people say, "Oh, everybody has a shorter attention span." I'm not sure that that's true. I think we have higher expectations and a higher bar that you
I
have to,
actually agree with that.
right? Because like we will binge watch or listen. I have podcasts I've binged. I have like stuff
Yeah.
on Netflix I've binged. I've stayed up reading until 4 o'clock in the morning like an idiot and then been a waste of a human the next day. Like, we binge things. We will invest a ton of time in something that is actually interesting and engaging. So it's not just the attention span thing is an easy way for us to be like, oh, so we'll just keep making stuff that's shorter and fluffier and useless.
But the engagement's there. That's actually a war or a fight. That's not even a war or a fight, right? But there is the game of engagement, right? Is really the key right now, and that when you say people are attention deficit, it usually is trying to cover over the fact that you're not being engaging.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you're just boring.
And that's the value of these interviews. I think though, so because they're streamed live, right? Right now, like if Erica falls down, right, that's part of this. I actually it can be less than perfect. Authenticity trumps perfection now,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I really believe that, and that these micro channels, micro niches too. Like if you're tuning into this, you care about usually engaging virtual meetings, and that niche. If you're in that niche, then this is incredibly interesting and engaging to you to hear
Yeah.
from people. I'm going to foster an introduction for you too. I don't know if you know Minda Zetlin.
I do not.
Minda Zetlin is our ink writer here. She's an NSA Northwest member with a regular column. Look her up, Minda Zetlin. I'll stick it in the chat. And she also is a writer. I just find uh, that you might connect to. Somebody just chatted us. uh, exactly. I don't believe the whole shorter attention span. We watch 3 hour movies if we choose to, if we don't walk out, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the art is there. Thank you so much for your view on the future. I've been adding this really cool new feature, Erica. It's called the speed round. Are you ready?
Sure. Bring it on.
Okay, so these are quick questions you got to answer in just a little bit of time, assuming that we have a little bit of time left. Okay, good. Favorite NSA chapter that's not yours?
New York.
They're expensive, $950 a year. Favorite TED Talk that's not yours?
Brene Brown, the very
Oh,
first one.
Yeah, no brainer. Okay. Favorite publication?
The Atlantic.
Oh, that's a good one. Favorite pen?
I don't have it anymore, and they don't make it anymore, and I don't remember exactly what it was called, but it fit perfectly in my hand. The ink flowed really, really just well and nicely. So that would be my favorite pen.
We got to find you that pen. Favorite journal?
Favorite journal.
Yeah.
I actually use those crappy little composition notebooks because if I buy a really nice journal, it's quote too nice for me to use for my free writing practice every morning. So crappy paper.
Yeah, either somewhere between recycled paper and my favorite, Molback. Okay. Current book on the bedstand.
Oh, I am one of those weird people who reads like 3 books at once. I don't
Yeah,
know
it's
how I
okay.
became this person, but the current one that I am working on is Sweet in Tooth and Claw. And it's basically a book about all of the things that we as humans could actually learn from the rest of the natural world if we would pay attention, and mutualism and how there's so much synergy in that.
That's a good one. Well, I did not know. I was like, what is that? Okay. Best PR lesson.
It's not about you.
Oh, wait, hold on. I have to do this one again. There you go. It's not about you. Thank you. Best writing result.
Oh gosh, that's so individualized. The best writing result is to have written.
And what are you grateful for?
So many things. Today, I am very grateful for the sun because it's been gray and cloudy and icky, and now the sun is shining. And I'm basically a plant with anxiety, so I just need some water and sunshine, and I'm a happy person.
There you go. All right. That is the speed round. Thank you so much, Erica. If you could get people to remember one thing from this interview, what do you think it should be?
Writing is not about the ink; it's about the think.
That's great. You got to trademark that for sure because it is so true. I hope all of our friends who are authors, want to be authors, writers, want to be writers, are listening to this so that you can think about that, right? It's a think about the ink, right? It's not about the ink. It's not about how many words. It's about the idea. I mean, that's one of the core aspects of TED Talk, right?
Yeah.
Ideas worth sharing.
Yeah.
So it's not about that book, right? It's about what's in your head and what you share. But I have no tricky rhyming alliterations for that, like our good friend Erica. Oh, Erica, thank you so much. I hope that you get a chance to come out to Seattle or we see each other in the real world sometime soon.
That would be great. It'll probably be at an NSA event.
Of course. Thank you, Erica.
Thank you, my friend.
All right. Well, we just completed another Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast here with Erica Holthausen. It's not about the ink. It's about the think. And if you're thinking about what you're doing here, well, maybe you should think about clicking the subscribe, share, like, or comment button. You should also think about subscribing to this podcast for more amazing conversations like this one with Erica, engagingvirtualmeetings.online. You should think about the ink you're going to write at and all the notes at the Engaging Conference, October 1 through 3. There's a free ticket here, engagingvirtualmeetings.com/con. And if you want to be the next Erica, you can. Just click the button, engagingvirtualmeetings.com/meet, and select interview. And we will see you next time. This is John Chen, the author of the Amazon #1 hot new release, Engaging Virtual Meetings. I personally want to say thank you for listening to the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast. It is my passion to help you eliminate bad virtual meetings. Make sure that you click subscribe so that you can get the latest episode of the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast with all of the latest ideas. Hey, I want to meet you. If you want to talk about a virtual meeting challenge, or if you want to be the next guest on the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast, just go to engagingvirtualmeetings.com/meet. That's ENGAGINGVIRTUALmeetings.com/meet. stualmeetings.com/meet, MEET, and find your best time to meet up. Thank you, and I look forward to engaging with you online.